Well, hello everybody. Welcome to my storytelling album. I thoroughly hope you enjoy it. And if you don't, your mama. How about that? I've also added some baby pictures of me for your viewing pleasure. But that's enough from me. Let's get to me. This first story is called Camel Punch. So, I used to go to this school called FSDB, Florida School for the Deaf and Blind. And they used to take us on field trips, and there was all types of kids in the school. Basically, if you had a visual or audible impairment, you could go to this school, and it didn't cost you nothing as long as you was a resident of the state of Florida. So there was a very diverse group of motherfuckers at this school. You know what I'm saying? Like there was legally blind people, people who had partially bad vision, people who had totally bad vision, people who were completely blind, people who were partially blind, people who were completely deaf, people who were partially deaf, and even the teachers had a lot of them had visual impairments. Even the administrators, like I remember our administrator was legally blind. Our dorm teachers were legally blind. Our music teacher was completely blind. She played a bunch of instruments and shit. It was dope. But they did a real good job to kind of not necessarily coddle us, but at the same time they were like, yo, you're gonna need some help with some shit, but you need to be good at looking for that help, or you're not. You need to be They wanted us to be self-sufficient, you know what I mean? But at the same time, not deny the fact that we had a disability. So they would take us on all these different types of field trips. You know what I'm saying? Like to make us feel included, because we knew that other schools were going on these field trips, and we wanted to go on some of these field trips too. But because we were legally blind and, all fucked up, a lot of the times we got like special treatment. We get to do like dope shit. And I remember one time we went to the zoo, and I was like 9 or 10, and we was at the zoo, and they had a camel at the zoo. And I am fucking Florida, California kid. I'd never seen no goddamn camel, but not in live. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'd seen camels in like cartoons. You remember the Animaniacs, Constantinople. They had the Animaniacs, or maybe it was Tiny Toons, had this Constantinople song, and they was talking about camel, and they were like, they're better that way. Anyway, and they rode off into the sunset on a camel, and I used to be like, oh, that's camels. I was not prepared for how motherfucking big them bitches is. Camels is bigger than a motherfucker. Like they're big as shit, and they got like this split lip and shit like that, and they funky, and they got eyelashes. That's the craziest thing about camels. Y'all motherfuckers don't understand. They got eyelashes. How camels got eyelashes? They can bat their eyes like Disney princesses and shit. That's crazy. That's camel shit. Anyway. So we're at this zoo, and I'm seeing this camel for the first time, and it's big than a motherfucker. Like it's elephant big. Like we got to ride the elephants, and we got to ride the camel, and we were all like kind of waiting. It was in this field, and I was kind of in the camel's pen with a couple of other kids, and I was petting the camel because it was big. You know what I'm saying? And I remember them saying, "Hey, don't be like fucking with the camel's face because they spit. Like, you know what I mean? Like don't do what you about to do." And they wasn't paying attention, and I was a little knucklehead, little motherfucker, but I don't know what I did to its face, but it looked at me, and then it batted its eye, and then it spit all up in my face. Like it spit. I don't know. Look, hey, right now, like wherever you're listening, go look up camel spit. That shit is for real, for real. It is not it didn't nobody gleek on me. Like it wasn't like, oh shit, and there's a little moisture on your upper, like when somebody accidentally spit on you, there's like some moisture and it's on your like upper eyebrow, and it just sits on that eyebrow until you be like you don't know. Sometimes if it's not that much, you wait for the person to turn their head so you can like scoop it off, like brush it away, because you don't really want to let them know that because it feels bad to spit on somebody when you accidentally do it. But this motherfucker did that shit on purpose, and he drenched my whole body, bro. Like he spit green shit all over me. I found out later when I looked up shit, like years later, that was not spit, and that was actually regurgitatals. Regurgitatals is what it was. It was pukums, and he had really just puked up some shit on me, and I thought it was spit because it came out his mouth, and I don't think if I would have known that it was puke, I would have reacted so calmly, because what I did, I calmly screamed as loud as I could, and then bent down and gave this motherfucking camel the most all-you-can of uppercuts to his jawbone that I could possibly muster as a 9-year-old. I hit this motherfucker with the power of Odin. Do you understand me? Like, I uppercutted him to the moon. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been, you ever hear somebody, I punched, I felt good about how hard I hit him. I hit him with 18 knuckles. You understand? Like, I hit him as hard as I possibly could, because it was just fear and panic. There was no anger there. There was no malice. There was no, you know, there was no time for that shit. All there was time for was fear at what had just happened, because nothing like that had happened to me up until that point. I'd never seen nothing like that. I'd never seen nothing like that. I had zero ability to figure out in the moment how I was supposed to react. So the first thing I did was uppercut the shit out that motherfucker. And then, you know, we was asked to leave, and I got in some trouble. Hey, look, I don't like to fight. I'm a non-violent motherfucker, but he hit me first, okay? He spit all on my body. That shit got in my mouth. That shit got in my nose. That shit got in my eyes. And you know my eyes is already bad, dog. Like, why you gonna spit in my fucking eyes and shit? Like, he spit on me so much that I was crying. Do you understand me? Like, I just started crying because I wasn't crying because I hit him. I was crying because the motherfucker spit all of his soul on my body, and I was not cool with it. So, man, fuck camels is really what that boils down to, man. Fuck ass camel. Fuck camels.
Okay, now story number 2. I got jumped on the playground because kids ain't shit. Enjoy.
So the first time I got jumped, I was like 9 or 10 years old. I was going to FSDB, Florida School for the Deaf and Blind, and I was walking out onto the playground for recess. Now, for me, just like it was for a lot of kids, recess was the shit. It was the one class that I shined at. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember walking out and walking past that metal slide that would singe all of your skin if it got touched in a hot day. And the sound it would make, like when it was scraping your skin, it was terrible. It sounded like what it would sound like if you pulled a dolphin's penis. That's what the sound of your skin on that hot slide sounded like. The pull of a dolphin's penis. Anyway, I walked past the slide, and I walked past the monkey bars that we walked on the top of, because bones need to get broken somehow when you're a child. I remember to my left, I saw my homie Charles on the swing set. He was getting some nice air, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was impressed, but that wasn't my destination. My destination was the patch of grass ahead of me where we played football, because I was a baller, y'all. I was a little baby baller. I saw my friend to the right of me on the basketball court playing with one of the teachers, but I was like, nah, we going to football today. And about that time, I got tackled. Not in a game. Like, it was no game. I was like, are we playing already? No. It was this big motherfucker named Shane had just tackled me. And then there was 5 people on me. 4 or 5. I don't remember. I didn't count. I was being fucking kicked and shit. Now, as I said, Shane's a big motherfucker, fat bitch. And he had basically put all his weight on my body, so I couldn't get up. And then this other dude named fucking Mark. Motherfucking Mark. Mark was this redhead fuck ass kid, and me and him had a rivalry. Like, but he was a little bit better at fighting than I was. So like I would win 2 times, but he would win 3. You know what I'm saying? But Mark had this move where he would jump on your back while you weren't looking and take his fingers and try and push them into your eyes, and try and push your eyes into the back of your skull, which is extra disrespectful when you're around blind people. Like, that's extra disrespectful, Mark. So I'm on all fours, screaming for help that's not coming. And Shane is on my back, kicking me, punching me in my ribs. Somebody else is on my other side, kicking and punching me on my ribs. And Mark has got his fingers in my eye, and my mouth is open like it's the Ark of the goddamn Covenant. For a second, I shook loose, and I look over to my left to see Charles still swinging on that swing. And Charles was also a black albino. And a lot of people used to think that me and Charles were twins, to the point my grandpa came to the school one time and thought Charles was me. And it wasn't, of course, but you know, I'm just trying to explain that he's supposed to have my back like that, and this nigga's still swinging. Now, I don't know if I imagined this, but at that point, my vision became 20/20 because I saw the twinkle in Charles' eyes as he launched himself at the apex of his height off the swing set and came down upon me with the power of Thor. The only reason I believe that I didn't pass out or completely break in half from the impact of Charles' leap was because I was at the same time very impressed on the accuracy. I mean, like, that's a hell of a jump. I'm just saying. At 10 years old, that's a hell of a jump. So finally, they let me up because I think that after somebody launches themselves onto you from a swing set on a park, you know, in the park, I feel like that's usually the time to stop the jump, stop the ass whooping. And I'm crying and I'm screaming, but I'm not mad at the people that jumped me because I know for a fact that this is a boarding school. I know I'm gonna fuck y'all up later. Individually, I'm fucking each and every one of y'all up. Charles, I'm gonna beat your motherfucking ass the worst, and you know that that's coming. So I'm not really mad at y'all because you motherfuckers is gonna get yours. I'm really pissed off at the goddamn teachers who didn't do a fuck ass thing. They just stood there and watched me. One teacher in particular that I saw standing there. Motherfucker, I am legally blind. If I saw you, you was close enough to help. Standing there now moving with your shorts and your flip-flops. Fuck your blonde ass hair. So I start walking up to the principal's office because I'm mad. I'm crying. I'm beat the fuck up. I'm bloody. I just got elbow dropped from a very high height. I get up to the principal's office and I'm still pissed. I'm still crying. I'm still angry. And I start cussing. I'm talking about cussing. Like, you motherfucker, fuck you. Suck my dick, you piece of shit. You old Colonel Sanders having ass motherfucker. You Ross Perot ass bitch. I don't know if I actually called him a Ross Perot ass bitch. I just know that, like, thinking back, he looked kind of like Ross Perot. But yeah, I did call him. I said fuck, suck my dick. I called him a fuck nigga. I think I called him a fuck nigga. He was very white, so I don't know how he took that. But anyway, I'm just cussing for a good 5-10 minutes, cussing at him. Fuck you, you piece of shit. Nobody did nothing. What the fuck is wrong with you? About halfway through this tirade of cuss words, I realized that he has not stopped me. Like, he hasn't said, hey, Nathan, stop cussing. You're going to get in trouble. Now, at this point in my life, I'd never been able to cuss at an adult like this. So I was just like, fuck it. I'm going to keep it going. I continued to cuss, cry, and scream at him for another 3 to 5 minutes. The only reason I stopped is because I literally ran out of words. I started repeating shit. Did I already call you a fuck nigga? Did I already say that one? No, nobody ended up getting in trouble. Not the teacher for not doing shit, not me for not doing shit and getting my ass whooped and cussing at the teachers, and nobody for jumping me. Partially, they didn't get in trouble for jumping me because I didn't really say who did it. Not because I'm not a snitch. Mostly because I wanted my retribution. I was gonna, like I said, I'm gonna fuck y'all up individually, and I got them. Everybody who was there, I fucked them up individually, except for Shane. Shane was a little too big for me to take, but luckily my brother did not like Shane, or he liked Shane, but he also liked beating the shit out of Shane because he thought it was funny and he was kind of a dick. And so Shane got his shit. Shane got his ass whooped for fucking with me. I don't know if it was for fucking with me, but I said it was for fucking with me, and I felt like he felt the punches, so it was cool. And that's the first time I got jumped, y'all. But it fucking wasn't the last.
Hope you guys liked that one. They beat the shit out of me. Anyway, story number 3. This story is about my dad and about me getting hurt. Enjoy.
So I don't remember a whole lot about my dad. Either of them, really. I mean, I was adopted, so I don't remember the first one at all, and then the second one, very little. But I consider the second one to be my dad. But he died when I was 6, and I'm old as shit, so I don't have a whole lot of memories. I do remember the first time that I thought to myself, I think this nigga crazy. I was 5, and we had just moved to Florida, and we were renting this house on this street. I remember there was these huge bushes outside, and I was standing by them to get the bus. I used to play in them bushes. It was fun. Anyway, one day, me and my sister, who's 4 years older, were playing inside. I think we were playing like tag or something, and we had these pillows, these couch pillows, and they were like white guy taint brown. Like, I don't know the color, but basically the color of, like, think of like a person named Mark, and then like think of his taint, that color. And they weren't good pillows. They were really heavy, and all the weight in the pillows shifted periodically, and it would just like they were perfect pillows for throwing at people is what they were. They were my first ninja stars, if I'm honest with you. They were the first things that I realized, because the weight was so off that when you threw them, it would go end over end, and I think that was my introduction to things going end over end when you threw them. And then I threw knives at shit, and then it was the genesis. And me and my sister were running through the house throwing these pillows at each other. And for some reason, I do not know why, I had a pencil in my hand, and she threw one of the pillows, and bang, it hit that pencil, and the pencil stuck in my hand. Like a lot, like not a little, like a lot. Like the pencil was stuck in my hand. Like it's sticking straight up, and it's just in my hand. And my mom's at work, and my dad's asleep in the room. Now the rest of this is kind of a blur. I remember it being a very blur for me, because I remember going from laughing to screaming in a very short amount of time, and then it was just chaos. It was like my dad came out the room, my sister started screaming. I'm doing that little kid scream where you screaming and you're also running in place, getting high knees. I was getting high knees. You understand me? Knees was all the way up. My dad came out, he snatched a pencil out my hand, and then I don't remember what I was doing, but I don't think that I was cool. And then he beat my ass, and I remember, like, I was already crying. The pencil was worse. I mean, and the next thing I remember is I'm looking up at him, and we're in my room. He's standing behind my bunk bed, in front of my bunk bed, and I'm looking up at him, and he has just told me that we're about to go to McDonald's and I can get a toy. And I was so happy. But I'm also looking at me. I was like, you just beat the shit out of me for getting a pencil stuck in my head. And I wasn't bad. I wasn't mad. I was just like, I was contemplating. I was like, and now you gonna take me to McDonald's. This is a strange pattern of behavior. I'm gonna be honest with you, dog. And at 5, I remember thinking to myself at that time, not like I thought this like when I was 35 or something like that. I remember back and be like, oh, I get that situation now. No, at 5, I remember thinking, looking up at him, like, you kind of a weird nigga, ain't you, dog? Like, you kind of a weird motherfucker. Okay. Like, I didn't really know what to do with that information, but I remember having that information. It was the first time I looked at somebody and was like, oh, you a weird motherfucker. Okay. So, I mean, it sucks that he's not here. And I don't really remember that much about him, but I do remember that moment thinking that, man, you weird, dog. And now that I'm in the, position that I'm in, like, it's nice to know that at least something we shared something. We're both weird. You know what I mean? Admittedly in different ways, but at least something rubbed off, and I can take that. Because from his perspective, that's also a weird situation to walk into. An albino with a pencil stuck straight up in his hand. And, I mean, how do you solve that? Fucking toys and McDonald's, I guess.
He was a weird guy, y'all. But we had some good moments. Love you, Pops. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this story. This next story is about the first time I went tubing. Inner tubing. Enjoy.
I have always been a big fan of water sports, even when I was a kid. Growing up in Florida and California, the water was always just very accessible. But when we moved from California to Florida, the water was now also very warm. Now, we was fairly poor, so I didn't do a whole lot of water sports. I mean, most of the time I was in the water was just swimming around, snorkeling, the occasional boogie board that you got on the way to the beach at that CVS or Pick and Save as it was. But I was also a very hyperactive kid, and my mom worked. So during the summer, she would put me into any extracurricular activity that she could possibly find. The cheaper, the better, but had to keep me busy. I remember one summer I don't know if we had more money than usual or I was just more aggravating than usual, but she sent me to a camp that, it cost like $250 for the week, which at the time, that was a lot of motherfucking money for us. Like, as a kid, it's a lot of money when they tell you how much it is. So to me, I was like, oh, I'm about to go to rich people camp. It was a day camp. You go during the day, you go home at night. I show up the first day and it was intimidating. Like there was so many white kids. And it wasn't that I wasn't used to white kids. It was just that I wasn't used to these white kids. They were all not suburban white kids. I know them, but they were all like well-to-do. This was not, this was a compromise to them. This camp was a compromise. So I'm already albino, I'm already legally blind, I'm obviously one of the poor kids at this camp. So I wanted to act like I knew what I was there for, what I was doing. So one day during the first week, we get to go out on the water. We get to go tubing, and everybody was like, oh, it's so much fun. I was like, yeah, I know, I've done it before. I ain't never did that shit before. Now, where we went tubing was on the St. Johns River. Now, the St. Johns River is not fucking clean. It's dirty, it's muggy, you cannot see the bottom. And at that point, I was pretty sure that any body of water in which I could dunk my head into, Jason Voorhees was at the bottom of that shit. 100%. Jason was down there. So I wasn't really looking forward to being in this water by myself. So I'm in the boat and I'm watching the first people go. And I'm like, what the fuck is this just dragging their ass in a motherfucking tube? It kind of looked fun, but I don't want to be in that water though. And I kept noticing that everybody at one point got launched out of that motherfucking tube, and then we had to spin around and pick their ass back up. And they were always fine when we did that, but I was like, you're not leaving me in that motherfucking water for that goddamn long. This is not gonna happen. Y'all not just gonna get in this boat. I don't trust that you guys like me enough to come back. You feel me? So finally, it's my turn. Nobody wants to go with me because I'm the fucking weird albino kid. So I jump in the water, I swim out to the fucking tube, and everybody's trying to tell me how to get in it to sit in it. Like you're going down the lazy river. And I was like, but everybody who sat in it like that got launched 35 feet into the motherfucking air, and then their head hit the water before their legs did. Anytime you are in the air and your legs are above your head, it's bad. It's not good. It's bad. So I just said, fuck that, grabbed onto each of the handles and kneeled it on one knee like I was about to give a football speech. They tried to convince me not to. I shook my head no. They said, fuck it, and they started going off. They're hitting the speed. At first, they started slow, and now they're getting faster. And now they're starting to cheer, and I'm starting to cry. I'm just holding on for dear life. I'm not letting go. I'm not shifting my weight. I'm not doing nothing. So the boat starts to take me outside the wake, and I start hitting jumps, and now I'm getting air. But every time I get air, in the air, I'm maneuvering the thing so it hits and it doesn't flip. Everybody in the boat is cheering and shit, and I don't give a damn because fuck this water. Finally, the inevitable happens, and the fucking inner tube flips over. I am now underwater in the inner tube, swallowing the entire contents of the St. Johns River. But I have not let go of the ropes yet or the motherfucking handles because Jason's in that bitch, and I don't know how fast he is underwater. Luckily, after a few seconds, the inner tube flipped back over, and I'm still in that bitch. Everybody on the boat starts fucking going nuts. They're like, what the fuck? They all think I did that shit on purpose. I did that shit out of fear. They probably tried for another 10 minutes to get me to topple over in that goddamn inner tube. And finally, when they couldn't do it, they just slowed the boat down, stopped, and I swam back to that bitch. But I was taught, hey, they stopped for me. After that, everybody wanted me to participate in every activity. They wanted me to be the first one to try things. And I did try things incorrectly and correctly for the rest of that week. But I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I don't know how long it would have taken me to actually let go of the handles, because I genuinely believe that I would have drowned upside down and died happily knowing that Jason didn't get me. So, think about it the next time you decide to let go.
That shit was scary. Anyway, this next story is about how my mom is diabolical. Some real Joker type vibes. Enjoy.
My mom's a therapist, and I remember this one time that she therapized me into an ass whooping. Not entirely sure if therapized is a word, but we going with it though. So I remember I did something to get myself in trouble. I'm not particularly sure of what I did, but I remember the aftermath. I remember that shit. So I was like 7 or 8 maybe, and I was in the kitchen with my mom, and I was doing that. I was trying to make my do that fake cry shit. She wasn't having none of that. And my friends were all outside waiting for me to come back outside because I came inside from the outside. We was all playing, and I think that that's actually what I was in trouble for. But it honestly could have been something I did 3 weeks ago. My mom was diabolical like that. Still is. I mean, she's still here. She just, I don't get whoopings no more. Anyway, so I guess that she thought that a regular ass whooping was just, that's just not enough now. So she gave me the choice of do I want to get my ass whooped inside with the wooden spoon or outside with her hand, but in front of my friends? What kind of raggedy choice is that to give a damn 7 and 9-year-old? You want to know what the fucked up part is? I therapized myself into that situation, or at least to the conclusion. Like I thought to myself, okay, now see, if I get my ass whooped inside with the wooden spoon, it's going to hurt like a motherfucker, but I might cry faster. But if at the same time I get myself whooped outside with the hand, it's not going to hurt as much, but she's not going to stop until I cry. And that means I'm going to cry in front of my friends, and I'm going to have to whoop my friend's ass for laughing at me while I was crying. And that's just more work for me. Go ahead and whoop me inside. And that's what she did. Beat the brakes off of me. Went back out to my friends and acted like I didn't get my ass whooped, knowing damn well I did. They all knew too. You know when you got your ass whooped, when you go back to your friends, you just don't talk about it. You still sniffing, you still wiping your eyes, and you change the subject immediately. That's what I did. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think my mom used to whip my ass with the same wooden spoon that we used to eat salad with, and that might be why I don't like salad now. But honestly, it could also just be that salad is stupid.
She stopped spanking me altogether when I was about 9. Anyway, here's the next story. This one's about the 2 neighbor boys who bullied a bunch of kids on my street. I really hope every time they step, they roll their ankle. Anyway, enjoy.
So when I was growing up in Florida, in Jacksonville, across the street, kind of kitty corner to the left of our house was this house, and they had 2 brothers, the Magooies. I don't remember their names. Everybody just kind of called them the Magooies, kind of like O'Doyle Rules in Billy Madison. They had that family vibes. Like, I don't remember ever seeing their mom, and their dad was definitely into drugs. That's a story for another day. Anyway, the older Magooie was like 3 years older than me, and the younger one was like 1 year younger than me. And they were both bullies. Like, they bullied the whole neighborhood. Little piece of shit ass. And I'm honestly thinking this for this first time, but I think now that why none of the parents did anything about it is because the dudes were, his dad did push weight. Anyway, so the Magooie brothers were bullies, and they were pieces of shit. The older one was definitely the instigator, but the younger one would go along with it because if he didn't, the older one would just kick his ass. Now, when I say these kids were bad, I mean bad. Now, I don't remember them being racist at all, although their dad definitely was. Also, he didn't like me that much, but it might have been because of this. So the Magooie brothers had been bullying me since I moved in. They would come over and they would cut down branches of my climbing tree in my front yard. They would tell my mom anytime I did anything fucking wrong. They would bully all the other kids in the neighborhood, albeit not as much as me, but that was mainly because I was the biggest of the other kids, so I would be the one who had to stick up for everybody, which basically meant I would just get my ass whooped a lot. So one day, the older brother wasn't there, and we used to play outside, and the younger brother was there, and some of the kids were riding bikes. Now, on our street, you could just our street was not great. Like, it was all cracked and broken up, and it was to the point where you could just pick up hunks of the street, and we used to have rock fights. I don't know if the street was made out of rocks, but we would pick up hunks of the street and throw it at each other. Because it was the 80s. Anyway, the younger brother was riding his bike back and forth in front of my house, and people were all throwing rocks at him because he was showing off his new bike. He was a dick, and it was kind of fun. To this point, nobody had hit him, so everybody was having a good time. He was having a good time because he was dodging rocks on his new bike, and all the kids were having a good time because nobody had really hit him, and we got to throw rocks. But as y'all probably already know, I can be extra. So I picked up a hunk of street the size of a dinner plate and aimed it at his tire, and that bitch stuck dead in his spokes. When I tell you, he flipped over the handlebars with the speed of, like, I'm talking like faster than the Flash. Like, he came over the handlebars and he was riding the bike on his ass for at least a 3 count before he recognized what had gone wrong. Both hands still on the handlebars, both knees on the ground, bike behind him, looking like he's pelvic thrusted into a broken back. I was like, ooh, shit. All the other kids is like, durr. The youngest Magooey brother, however, had not made any sound at this point. Not because he wasn't in any pain. He was screaming so loud and so with such, like, vigor that his octave had not come down yet to where humans could hear it. But mouth was open, tears were present. When it did get low enough for all of us to hear that high-pitched scream, everybody just kind of looked around like, what was supposed to do? Nobody wanted to help him. He's fucking the Magooey brothers. Fuck him. But also, he's hurt real bad. But in my head, I'm like, fuck you and your brother. His dad comes outside looking like he came fresh from the tennis court. Remember, he had white shorts on above the knee, a white shirt with some stripes on it, a belt, everything tucked in, and then these long, like the basketball Larry Bird socks the motherfuckers used to wear. He had them on, and he was in the middle of the road screaming at all of us, because his son, which was funny because he wasn't helping his son. He was just screaming at us, and we were laughing because this was hilarious. But I mean, he wasn't gonna come on my property because he can't come on my property. I mean, he was screaming and he was mad, and then we ran in the house. And then we went into my backyard, and then we could still hear him screaming. I never know what he said to my mom. I just remember that when my mom went back in the house, we started throwing pine cones and rocks from my backyard into the street where we still heard him screaming. And we made a little game of it. He wasn't happy. He wasn't. A little while later, maybe a couple years or so, the Magooeys moved. They moved. Not too far away, just like, I think they moved a couple blocks over, and the house burned down. Or I should say their trailer burned down. And the Magooeys were inside when it happened. And the next time I saw them, they rode their bikes over to my house. And they were all bandaged up. And I remember that the older Magooey brother couldn't hear because his ears had got burnt off or something. I didn't make fun of them or anything or laugh in their faces when they came over to my house to say what had happened and all that things. Because honestly, I didn't know what the fuck to do. I didn't have the social abilities to navigate that situation, because in my head, I was like, the fuck are y'all doing here? I hate y'all. The only reason I'm not laughing out loud that y'all got burnt the fuck up is because I don't know how much you can still fight. I also remember thinking as a kid, like as that kid standing in my driveway, talking to these 2 kids who had rode their bikes over, who used to bully me constantly, and they were telling me about how their house burned down and they were all bandaged up and they looked terrible. And I just remember thinking, man, I kind of thought about burning y'all house down one time. So I kind of wish it was me. Now, let's be clear. I never actually would have burned their house down. Not saying I wasn't capable. I'm just saying I wouldn't have done it, because every time I thought about doing some shit like that, I always remembered that I'm legally blind, and I'm just like, smoke is going to be in the house if I burn it down. And then I feel like I'm going to end up burning the house down, and then I'm going to not be able to get out because I done smoked myself out. And then there actually was nobody in the house. So now I just burnt somebody else's house down. I'm the only one who got burnt the fuck up. That would be my luck. And I felt like that would not be worth it. Also because burning people's houses down is bad. Okay. Anyway, I don't really know what happened to the Magooey brothers, but I do hope that they have gout.
Well, there you go, guys. There's the album. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed the pictures that I put up here. I truly do appreciate all the support and love everybody's giving me. And because you guys are so awesome, I'm going to put a bonus track on here of me doing a story live in front of an audience. Make sure you guys are following me on all the platforms for my upcoming show dates. So once again, thanks for the love, laugh, and support, and hope you enjoy the story I like to call Mistakes Were Made.
I got a story about why I don't do mushrooms any goddamn more. So, the first time I did mushrooms, I thought it was just stronger weed. And nope. You know what I mean? Like, just not even a little bit. So I didn't know. I had no fucking clue. So I'm at this chick's house, and there's her homegirl, and then the dude who had the mushrooms. And he was kind of weird when I was sober,
But I didn't know that if you're on mushrooms, you really should not do them around people you don't know. Because when I was on the mushrooms, he became the devil. Like, he was just, I was like, oh, you're an evil fucking person. That's awesome. That's good to know. So I started having a panic attack, and I was hot, and I was like sweating a lot, and I was like, am I having a panic attack, or is this just something that mushrooms do? But I was only asking like myself, so no one was answering. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm like, I should probably just fucking go home. And so I called an Uber, and I walked downstairs, and I got distracted because it's like 12 at night, but all of the colors were so bright. And here's the thing, I'm legally blind. I don't usually see that many colors. So I was like, this is fucking amazing right now. I'm just looking around. And then I realized, oh, I'm tripping my motherfucking balls off. This is fucking crazy. So the Uber drives up, and now I'm peeking. And I know I'm peeking, and I'm like, okay, Nathan, just make small talk. You fine. You're not going, you just on some mushrooms, dog. Like, because mushrooms fuck you up just enough to where you know you're fucked up, but you could also just see a turtle flying through the fucking air for no fucking reason. So I get in the car, and I'm trying to make small talk, and he had a name that started with a Z, and I didn't know how to pronounce it, so I'm like, I get in, and I'm like, hi, man, what's your name, man? How do you pronounce your name? I couldn't pronounce it. And I swear to God, this is what he does. I don't even know what my name is, bro. And I'm like, ah! So I'm now stuck in the fucking corner of this goddamn Prius, just fucking terrified. Now on Uber, you can see the route that they're taking to take you home, right? You can see it. Well, he didn't take that route. He got on the freeway. So to me, I'm like, oh, so he's driving me to my murder. That's what's happening right now. That's obviously what's going on right now. So I'm freaking out. In my mind, I'm going over everything that I need to do. I'm in the corner, not blinking, just like, all right, Nate, he gonna reach back here. You stab him with a pencil. I didn't have a pencil. I just was thinking of shit like, you stab him with a pencil, and then you fucking kick him in the face, open up the door, and jump out the car. But when you jump, you gotta hit your arms like this, and then roll that way like you do on TV and shit like that. Not realizing that we have stopped and are at my house. And so, motherfucker's waiting for me to get out of the car, but I'm stuck in the corner not blinking, so he doesn't really want to be like, he doesn't want to say anything to me, and I don't want to say nothing to him. So finally I'm like, oh shit, my bad, and I jump out the car and start laughing hysterically, like fucking, like for way longer than you should laugh for. You know what I mean? Like, you know when you like you hear somebody laugh for like 30 seconds and then they stop? I laughed for 3 fucking minutes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought I was going to die. Oh my God, I'm on mushrooms. That's crazy. And I stopped laughing finally, and I'm like, whoo! There's 2 cops sitting on their fucking cruisers right in front of me. And I don't know what to do, but I've been laughing long enough that now they don't want to deal with this either. So one of the cops looks at me and he's like, is everything okay, sir? And I was like, I did a bunch of mushrooms! And then I just fucking ran upstairs into my fucking house with a backpack on at 1 in the morning. And so Nate don't do fucking mushrooms no more. Thank y'all very much.